Thank you. Ms. Peterson, the next question somewhat relates to this. To save money, do you think City Hall should be staffed with as many contractors as possible and the minimal number of directly employed city employees?
There are certain positions that actually can be contracted out, and there are certain that cannot. So I think there's a balance of what we can actually legally do and what we cannot. And I understand that, you know, people are saying if we have a lot of hire-ins, then they're purseable, which I understand it's a big concern of ours. But we are utilizing part-timers that are not purseable to offset our unfunded liabilities. So I think that's something that's to be considered. I know that when you contract out, there's less control that we have. So that needs to be considered as well. I don't think it's a very easy question to blanket answer.
Thank you. Ms. Losey?
I do agree with that statement or the premise of the question. I do think that we need, and this is the name of the game in city operations these days, in California at least, and that is having as few part-time or few full-time employees who are collecting full benefits and to contract as many workers as you can. I think the challenge we have is over the last 5 years or so, we've brought a lot of positions as full-time employees that previously had been contract workers, and it's going to be hard to undo that. And I think that was a mistake over the last 5 years, but we do have to have an eye toward how to undo that, because we have to going forward.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kemps?
Here's the real numbers. Between 2013 and 17, we've hired 8 employees. We've increased our headcount to 63. Our base compensation increased just shy of $1 million, and all of it is subject to pension costs. In conjunction with that, the other things we haven't addressed are our workers' comp costs. In that period went up 76%, and then in 2018 we kept going. So yeah, I do think we're going the wrong direction. I don't want to be all negative. I want to acknowledge that, you know, some things have to be managed and controlled. But I think in this scenario where we are all faced with such great pension challenges that we have no choice to do this, but then to manage it effectively.
Okay, thank you. Ms. King?
We have a balance of employees and contractors in City Hall right now. Our building and planning department is pretty much all contractors. We did have a situation several years ago where we had contractors who were supervising employees, which it turns out is against the labor laws. So yes, we had to shift some of those employees, some of those positions to employee positions versus contractor positions. I do think it's advisable to use contractors where it's lawful and where it's clear that it's in the city's best interest. For example, we used to have a contract engineer. We had, when I first came on the council, a lot of people, some of whom are in the room, lobbied for a city engineer who would be solely responsible to us. And we did hire a city engineer. He's actually now the head of our building and planning department. And he, in fact, has proven to be a great asset to the city. He's gotten grants from us. He has looked out for our best interests. He has completed more projects than a contractor ever could have.
Okay, Mr. McGowan?
Well, I'll just add to what everyone's been saying about outsourcing, which is a term I use, whether it be a consultant or other sharing the facilities or personnel with other areas, is only going to help us reduce our pension liabilities in the prospective future. And that is something I think we really have to take a serious look at. It also might be getting back to how we do our business. Operational analysis is something I think that really needs to be looked at throughout the whole city, and making sure that we are using the state-of-the-art techniques, technology, and outsourcing services where possible to ensure that we are achieving our results at the lowest cost possible.
Mr. McCarthy?
I'm an advocate for contracting out when appropriate. Obviously, you can't do it for all like law enforcement or public safety, that you can't contract individual people out, although you could contract an agency. I'm also not just people, I mean equipment. If there's no reason we can't lease copy machines or vehicles for certain positions. So both in the police department and in the police relief, we do a lot of professional services.